Dean Hollin for ZoomerRadio here. We're in the Florida Keys. We're at Grimal Grove, and we're talking to the owner, Patrick Garvey. And he's going to walk us through all of this fruit that is all grown on this orchard. And so, Patrick, if you could, first of all, thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And it's just been a joy to be here. And we've just done a walk through the orchard. And now we're going to get to have you take us through some of the fruits that we've been talking about on the trees.
Yeah, so first of all, I mentioned the star fruit. We have two varieties of star fruit right here. This bigger one that's pale, that's the Fwang Tung. Way to remember it. Yeah. Everybody Fwang Tung tonight.
You just dated yourself. You know, you and me both. I know it.
Well, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I danced to that song. Yeah.
So then we have an Arkin over here. That's a commercial variety. Then we have that. Remember that Nam Dak Mai, the polyembryonic mango. Yeah. So we got that right there. We have that black sapote that you picked. That's ripened. See how it looks much different than the...
Oh, that's the one that you said is like chocolate pudding.
Yeah, chocolate pudding, but see how it gets darker as it ripens? Yeah. Okay. Then we have some white dragon fruit, which doesn't have necessarily a lot of flavor, but it's a lot of vitamin C. And then we have a yellow dragon fruit, very sweet. We have some avocado, the chocolate avocado that I mentioned to you, that we pointed out earlier. We have the sapodilla. Right there, it's kind of like cinnamon brown sugar.
Oh, right, that was one of the last ones we looked at. Yeah.
And then we have the pickled breadfruit. So you're going to try some breadfruit in different ways today. But we get breadfruit drop in the wintertime, especially because it's cooler and drier. So instead of like wasting it, we pickle these. It's a different texture than when it ripens.
And that's what that is. Pickled.
That's what that is. Okay. My friend Shane's recipe, and then we have cacao right here. We'll try that. That's where chocolate comes from.
Where chocolate comes from, yeah. And again, you were saying that you know that it's ripe when you shake it.
Can you hear that?
You can hear a little bit there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
All right. You ready to try some fruit?
Yeah, we're ready to try some fruit.
Okay. Cool. Let's do it. Oh, and last but not least is we have some limes here, but the big thing is this miracle fruit. That the red berries next to it, and that turns sour things kind of sweet. Like it turns lemons into lemonade. Oh. And so it's kind of a neat thing right there. So, and then we'll press some sugar cane as well. So let's dig in and have some fruit.
Okay. So let's I don't know where I'm going to start. I want to start with the chocolate pudding.
Okay. Don't eat the skin. So I'm going to get you something to compost with. Hold on.
Okay.
Not a lot of flavor to it, but you can make some really cool stuff out of it.
Very pleasant, and again, it has a consistency of like a pudding, a chocolate pudding. Yeah, for sure. And this is a mango.
And this is a Nam Dak Mai.
Really nice, and different than the mangoes that I know.
Well, so you typically get probably Tommy Atkins, and that reason why, especially Americans and Canadians get Tommy Atkins is because it ships well and it looks good. It's not about flavor. It's about shipping and how it looks. Europe gets actually better produce than we do, or better tropical fruit, but they pay more for it.
Yep. Really, again, really nice.
Really nice. You can try the yellow dragon fruit, which is quite nice.
And you say, is this more flavorful than this?
Way more flavorful. The other one, what I typically do with the other one.
That's really nice.
Isn't that really nice?
Yeah, and again, not as strong in your face.
Right.
Subtle, really, really pleasant.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, I've tried this type of dragon fruit up in Canada before, and there's not much flavor to it.
No, you throw it in your fruit salad. Yeah. You mix it up because it does got a super healthy. So this is some honey that we have from our grove.
Okay. So you do honey. You don't have enough going with the fruit. You do honey as well.
Yeah. But it's a really nice honey. So what I do with the yellow dragon fruit, or the white dragon fruit,
you dip it in the honey?
I dip it in the honey to give it some flavor. Okay. And then I get all that vitamin C.
Again, different. I know honey is very, it has a lot to do with the area. Right?
The vegetation, What's pollinating. So basically we get a lot of native pollinators, a lot of pollination from the native trees.
Yeah.
But also you get this tropical fruit too.
Yeah.
And then so it does create a unique, even for the Keys, it's unique because of all the fruit trees that the bees are pollinating.
Okay. Okay.
You want to try the avocado?
I want to try it. I want to try everything. That's fine.
So try this star fruit right here. This is the commercial variety right here. That's what you'll typically get in a supermarket.
Okay.
This is the Fwang Tong, the one that dated me.
So the bigger one.
Try that and then try the other one. Tell me what you think of the difference.
Can I pick it up?
Yeah, pick it up, man. There's no one.
Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out what that reminds me of.
Nice crisp.
Yeah.
Juicy crisp.
It's kind of in the direction of a pear, maybe a little bit. Nice and firm.
Beautiful looking fruit too. I mean,
everybody likes the look of these as well, right?
Yeah.
When you cut them.
You will cut them, yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of chefs and whatnot like to top their dishes or salads with that.
Now, I really do want to talk to you about the breadfruit because the breadfruit is the one that intrigued me the most before I even got here.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Because
can you do me a favor, Jamie? Can you just plug in that green cord there? I'm going to turn the fryer on.
Because breadfruit, as I'm hearing, it can be used for so many things, and it's got an interesting consistency, but not a lot of us are familiar with it.
Right. So breadfruit. Here's one right here. So this is one that we could cut up and fry up today. Breadfruit. It's a superfood. So as I mentioned earlier, one tree feeds a family of 4 for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it lives for about it'll produce fruit for about 70 years. So all you gotta do is plant it once, and you got your breadfruit for life. Which is unlike a lot of other staple crops where you're constantly replanting it and stuff like that. So what's great about that, it's also a tree, so it sequesters carbon, which is awesome for the environment.
Yep.
And then it's also a superfood. It's a complex carbohydrate, so it's got proteins, it's got potassium, it's gluten-free, it's got vitamin A, vitamin C, B1, B3. So so that's another reason why you can live off breadfruit basically if you really need it to.
Right.
The diversity of it is what's so cool about it as well. So breadfruit, it's going to when you harvest it like mature, it's like a potato. So you can make a casserole out of it. We're gonna fry up some chips for you.
Okay.
You can anything to do with the potato you can basically do with a breadfruit. Now the difference is it ripens very quickly, and so you got to use it quickly. So when it ripens, it actually sweetens up. It starches turns to sugars, and then you can make like a cake from it or ice cream from it. It's almost got a bit of a jackfruit flavor. Okay. And they're related, actually.
And this is a jackfruit here, just so we know.
That's just so you can
that's
see.
That's a biggie.
And that's not ready.
We picked this up earlier, but about how much does this weigh?
That's about a 30-pounder right
about
there.
30 pounds.
That's about an average size one.
And this is the avocado back here, right?
That's the chocolate avocado.
Yep. Everything is so delicious. And let's talk a little bit about the history of this, since we're here. Okay. The history of this orchard. This goes back.
Yeah, so it's a really fascinating history. This reclusive engineer named Adolf Grimal from Michigan came to the Florida Keys in the 1950s to get away from the world, and he basically dynamites this. It's a 2-acre property, but really focused on 1 acre. He dynamites it, builds up concrete walls, and goes around the world smuggling fruit trees in for the course of 40 years.
Yes.
Most people were smuggling, I think, marijuana and cocaine at the time, but he was doing fruit.
Fruit trees.
So, so he created this garden that was coined the Garden of Eden by the 70s, and groups would come down and learn about the trees and just walk his orchard. Scientists would come down, botanists would come down and see things that didn't grow anywhere else in continental United States. The uniqueness of it is what he created, the foundation with the soil and everything, because we don't have soil in the Keys. The other thing is the climate. So we have a very unique climate. We are the only really tropical climate in continental United States.
And you were telling me earlier that he dynamited because there was no soil here per se.
Correct.
So he dynamited down, poured these concrete walls, and then he trucked in soil. Is that right?
So I mean, and over time, making compost and things like that as well. But yeah, he did bring in silica sand actually from the mainland. So it was a real labor of love, and he did this by himself. I mean, he wasn't, like I said, he was reclusive. He couldn't really hold a conversation very well. There was a story that his family once told me that he had a fondness for this woman at this bank, and he didn't know how to introduce himself really. So he had this lemon tree up in Michigan. He grew stuff in Michigan as well. He must have had a greenhouse or something. But he produces massive Meyer lemon, and he made this little pie for her. And so he takes her to the bank, goes to the bank, brings her this little pie. He's like, "Eat my pie." And he didn't know how to. She just going like, "Who the heck? You know what are you talking about?" He didn't have a way to really communicate with people. But if it got into, if you were into fruit trees, as I told you some stories on the walk, he could become like this animated character who could talk to anyone, get into anything, and that was his passion.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna.
You want to try the breadfruit?
I do. Yeah, I do want to.
So this is a pickled breadfruit. So it's more like a pickled artichoke.
Okay. And it's quite firm.
Quite firm, yeah. So it's got a jalapeno dill base to it. Mm-hmm. So instead of that being wasted, because like I said, we get a lot of breadfruit drop because of the cool weather. It's also normal for fruit trees, but we get a little additional because of the cool weather in the winter. Yeah. So instead of just throwing it out or composting it, we sell jars of pickles.
Yeah, it's like a spicy pickle.
Yeah,
spicy pickle. And again, not what I expected here because, generally speaking, everything on the is sweet.
Yeah.
Right. This has got a nice bite to it. I'm also
my friend Shane Gooderham's family recipe, like fourth generation.
I'm intrigued that you can fry this stuff like a chip.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and we'll try that. So like, well, again, you're getting like a little diversity just based on the pickle, the fried chip, and then the vodka that we also make.
Well, this is it. And then you make vodka from it as well.
Yeah. So back in so remember I was telling you like I had this great idea for planting the breadfruit grove, breadfruit grove. Well, the down part was, what the heck am I going to do with all this breadfruit? Yeah. We're not in Miami or Fort Lauderdale where there's a big, Jamaican population or island population. So, no one knew what breadfruit was here. And so, I planted in 2019, like springtime. And so by the end of 19, I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with all this breadfruit? And so I started researching different ways to process it because, again, it doesn't have much of a shelf life. It's not like growing up in Prince Edward Island doing potatoes.
Potatoes, yeah.
So I was like, what am I going to do? So there's actually a cosmetic company in Toronto, Canada. I think they're out of business now. That made actually cosmetics from breadfruit. It's another thing you can do from the male flower. Oh. But I was like, cosmetics and the keys, maybe not so much. You can make a gluten-free flour from it, but the processing of that would be more difficult. So I started looking at making spirits. I read in like Sri Lanka they were doing stuff like that, and then so I went to a couple of distillers locally and just asked if they were interested. By this time it's COVID, so like no one's into especially they're making hand sanitizers most of the distillers. So no one was really interested. But then I kept researching because I'm getting nervous here because this tree's going to start producing pretty quickly, and I have a ton of it. And so I saw online that there's this company called Mutiny Island Vodka, and they just opened up late 2019, and so I reached out to them, and Chef Todd Manley is the founder and CEO of the company, and so I wanted to try to get with Chef Todd and see if he'd be interested in collaborating. So I reached out to him and never heard back. I mean, busy guy, and so I reached out again and I wrote them and never really heard back. And so finally in January 2021, they were hiring for bartenders at the distillery in St. Croix. So this is done in St. Croix.
Okay.
And so I applied to be a bartender in St. Croix. Never got an interview. So then in March of 2021, I was like, okay, I really need to figure something out. So I went to a friend of mine named Gretchen, and she owns a new magazine called Edible South Florida. And so it's all about farmers and cooks and stuff like that, chefs and stuff like that, but local stuff. And so I said, Gretchen, if I do a vodka with Mutiny Island Vodka and we create this like Grimal Grove Reserve, would you write a story about that? And she's like, absolutely, that's a great local story. So great. So I hang up the phone, call up the distillery, and I told them I was writing a story about breadfruit vodka, and I wanted to interview the CEO and founder. And they're like, well, let me put you on with the general manager. So I talked to the general manager. He's like, well, you probably won't be able to meet with him, but you can meet with me. When do you want to do it? I was like, how about this Friday? And he's like, all right, we'll give you a tour, and I'll give you a whole, we'll do a story. So I get to St. Croix on Thursday afternoon, check into the hotel, and I'm walking downstairs, and Chef Todd Manley, he actually has like 3 or 4 other restaurants aside from the distillery. And so he so happens to be in the street because that particular afternoon, the restaurant that he owned across the street from the hotel, which I had no idea, the hood broke. And so they were trying to figure out how to reopen the restaurant, get that fixed and reopen. So he's basically in the street and with his business partner. And since I was stalking him, I knew what he looked like. so I'm across the street and I see him. I'm like, oh my God, there he is. And so I'm like, hey, Todd. And he looks up like, who the heck is this guy? And I'm like, it's Patrick, the breadfruit guy from Florida. And he's like, oh my God. And so he did, I guess he did read some of the stuff that I was sending him. And he's like, he goes to his business partner. He's like, I told you about this guy. We hit it off. Like we, both have a passion for breadfruit. Mutiny Island Vodkas, their mission is actually kind of help save the world through having fun, having some vodka.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's really the mission. The Trees to Feed Foundation sponsors it, or is endorsed by it. The Trees to Feed Foundation is endorsed by it, which their mission is to plant breadfruit trees and other fruit trees all over the developing world to end world hunger and mitigate global warming. So really great nonprofit. So we just missions aligned, and so I started working for Mutiny and selling Mutiny here locally, and then a year later we produced the first spirit ever made from Florida Keys agriculture, Mutiny Island Vodka's Grimal Grove Reserve. Do you want to try some vodka?
That's a great story. I do want to try some vodka. Twist my arm.
Right. So this is another interesting thing here, because that's the original vodka right here, and this is the Grimal Grove Reserve.
Okay.
All right. So neither one of those are infused with anything. This is just breadfruit and Caribbean rainwater. So this distillery is rainwater. And this is Grimal Grove Reserve. So this is 100% grown from our breadfruit on the property.
Yes.
So what we do is we basically start the mash here, and that's it, and then we send it to the distillery.
Okay.
Our goal is to do it more locally as we move forward, but everything takes time. But what's interesting is, kind of by accident, we started doing it with ripe breadfruit. The reason why the first year the distiller wasn't ready for us. So the breadfruit was already ripening, and so basically that's how we did this one. This is done with basically your regular mature breadfruit.
Okay.
So you're gonna taste the difference.
And so I'm guessing that was a surprise for you and the distiller, that you got a different taste profile.
Yeah, like it's more fruit forward. So this is your regular. Regular,
okay.
I mean, it's a vodka with a a little fruity finish, a little green banana, kind of citrus finish, but more vodka-like.
Yep. Okay.
And then this is the Grimal Grove Reserve. And
this is the one with the riper fruit.
Riper fruit. So just smell that first. You'll smell the difference.
Oh yeah. Right off the hop. Right off the top.
Almost like a little vanilla caramel kind of note to it. But that kind of just tells you the difference of breadfruit and how it changes.
Yes, much like it's got a sweetness to it.
Yeah, almost like a white rum, almost like a a little different. So.
And all that is just the difference in how ripe the breadfruit was.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it.
Wow, that is a nice surprise.
Right? So what's fun about that, just that alone kind of tells you how the breadfruit changes, right?
Yeah.
But we also have some really healthy vodka for you too.
Healthy vodka. Yeah,
this is our ginger turmeric infused.
Okay.
And remember, this is all chef inspired stuff. Like Chef Todd, brilliant chef, great chef, likes to experiment with real ingredients.
Okay, ginger
turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yeah. That's my favorite. You gotta like ginger, but yeah.
Yeah. No, also nice. I think I might be partial to this one though, the reserve though.
There you go.
So far, this is my favorite.
Do you like coffee?
I do. I start my day off every day.
All right. Well, this is our Puerto Rican cold brew coffee. This is real coffee beans infused in the vodka. There you go. Just try that.
Dean is not driving anywhere in the Florida Keys today. Dean is just sitting right down here.
And we're just doing, by the way, this is radio. We're just doing tiny
little bits.
I'm not trying to get Dean drunk.
Dean is pounding them back.
Yeah, that's not the goal here. This is a very family friendly thing.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the coffee infused.
This is coffee infused, yeah.
Yeah. Also, they're all unique.
Right. Do you like hot pepper at all?
I do.
Well, I got a smoky hot pepper.
Dean's holding on to the bar.
I'll just change the cup because that coffee.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of. There you go.
Okay.
So this is the smokiness. This is our Scotch bonnet that we smoke.
Oh.
And so it's not death by pepper because when you smoke it takes some of that heat out, and so it's gonna originally you're gonna get like a smokiness, and then you get the pepper.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan. I have been for a long time of like Chipotle and things like that because I loved smoked peppers.
All right.
So, but this is a smoked Scotch bonnet.
Yes.
Okay.
Very Caribbean.
Okay. So this doesn't have a whole lot of
upfront.
Upfront. No. Oh, that might be a favorite now too. I'm thinking that's a favorite. That's really, really unique.
The way it
really
hits,
unique.
To me, the way it hits, it's twofold.
Yeah.
You got the smokiness, and then you get that little bit of pepper in the back end. So the way that transitions, I do find that.
I actually suspect it's going to be a threefold hit because I'm going to get the first two, and then I'm going to be hit with all of the vodka that I just been drinking.
There you go.
But that's really nice, and I've never tried anything quite like that before, ever. That's really unique with that smoky Scotch bonnet.
And right now we're doing a sale online. You can buy it online.
Can I?
Three. Yes. If you buy 3 bottles or more, free shipping.
Oh, okay. Up to Canada too?
You know what? I don't know yet.
You and I are going to have to talk.
We're going to have to talk. That's why we brought you
That's
today.
right.
We want to bring this to Canada.
We're going to have to talk.
I mean, I am from Prince Edward Island.
That's right.
So, it's got to get there.
So, and actually, that's worth mentioning that you do have an agriculture background, right? Because you grew up, in potato farming.
Yeah. So I went from basically being a potato farmer
below ground.
Yeah, below ground.
Everything above.
To the first breadfruit farmer in continental United States, which is interesting because it is so similar to a potato.
Yes.
It's a tropical potato in the tree. So kind of interesting.
Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a little break, and I know you're going to cook up some things.
Yeah.
And but we've been talking to Patrick Garvey. We're here at Grimal Grove in the Florida Keys, and specifically, where are we in the Florida Keys?
We're in Big Pine Key, more known for its key deer, the miniature deer.
Right, the little teeny deer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
that's not on the menu today.
No, it's not. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, Dean Hollin for ZoomerRadio here in the Florida Keys.